What's up, Jordan? Yeah, they done let the G's in the door. Oh, God.
Here with some breaking news. President Trump is commuting the sentence of Larry Hoover, co-founder of the notorious Chicago street gang Gangster Disciples.
The 74-year-old has been seeking early release from 6 life sentences for murder, conspiracy, extortion. He was even accused of continuing to give orders to the gang from behind bars. Hoover is still facing sentencing on state charges. He claims he's a changed man since he went to prison back in 1997. Until now, his petitions for early release have all been denied. We'll continue to follow this story and bring you the latest throughout the evening.
Do a test of time, amount of time. It can have 2 effects. It can harden you, or it can make you think.
Larry Hoover has been granted a pardon. However, this doesn't mean he's free yet. In this video, we are going to explore not only the history of Larry Hoover, but also what facing a life sentence actually looks like.
You know, I've been locked up 40-something years. I'll be knowing.
How could you take a 19-year-old person and just take the worst decision he ever made and hold him responsible for it for the rest of his entire life and not even consider that? He may have changed.
He was a thug on the streets 24, 25 years ago, and we're angry at that person, not realizing that that person no longer exists. Actually hasn't existed for like over 20 years.
One love.
Larry Hoover, once a notorious gang leader, spent decades behind bars, reevaluating his life, ultimately rejecting violence and calling for peace. That journey led to a turning point on May 28th, but to understand it, we need to rewind the story. Welcome to On Point Stories. Hit like and drop your thoughts in the comments. Decades behind bars. A sentence so long, it could stretch across generations. But through time, reflection, and effort, the man once known as a feared gang leader has undergone a profound transformation. This is the story of Larry Hoover. Once the founder of the Gangster Disciples, Larry Hoover now stands as a very different man, one committed to community uplift, education, and nonviolence. His evolution hasn't gone unnoticed. On May 28, 2025, he was granted a pardon for one of his convictions, recognizing that his journey toward change was not just symbolic, but substantial. To try and understand the man, we must first look back. Larry Hoover's name is famously tied to the streets of Chicago. According to court documents, in 1973, he allegedly ordered the execution of a man for robbing one of his narcotics houses. Though he never pulled the trigger himself, Hoover was found guilty of murder and sentenced to a staggering 150 to 200 years. He was just 23 years old.
Time you do a test of time, amount of time. It can have 2 effects. It can harden you, or it can make you think. And I thought, what have you thought? What are the thoughts like on a day-to-day basis? Incarceration. Well, basically, you think about preparing yourself for the future and preparing yourself for one day when you will return to the streets. You're prepared? Yes, I'm prepared. I've got employment. I want to do something for the community. I see these kids coming in here every day with 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Their life wasted just like I wasted mine.
Authorities allege that Hoover took advantage of state prison rules to hold scores of meetings and calls with gang members. Board members would meet with him, receive direction, and pass orders down to foot soldiers running the gang's business. With the explosive rise of crack cocaine in the late 1980s, Hoover's organization allegedly transformed into a drug empire, amassing yearly profits in the tens of millions and becoming a national force. Prosecutors allege the gang had grown to over 30,000 members and generated $100 million a year. Federal law enforcement took notice. A massive sting operation targeted the upper ranks, including Hoover. By wiretapping his calls from prison, the feds discovered he was allegedly laundering drug money and continuing to run the enterprise. Based on evidence from recorded conversations, Hoover was indicted for drug conspiracy, extortion, and running the Gangster Disciples from prison. He was found guilty on all charges and in 1997 received 6 life sentences on federal convictions. While in prison, Larry Hoover has sought to move the gangster disciples into something constructive, announcing the initials GD had changed to mean growth and development. Nonprofit organizations were created, allegedly registering voters, supplying food to the needy, and running charity events. Hoover gained community support. Advocacy from figures like Kanye West drew national attention, pushing for his release.
And also, Larry Hoover is an example of a man that was turning his life around. As soon as he tried to turn his life around, they hit him with 6 life sentences. So I believe you say don't tear down the statues. Larry Hoover is a living statue. He's a beacon for us that needs to see his family, that needs to go out and represent. When you have a block leader on every single block, they can own the block as their own. That's something I learned from Jim Brown, from A Mayor I Can. We need to put curriculums from people who really came from the streets, not people who are just trying to set us up to go into a work system or prison system that applies to what people are really going through, which Jim Brown has created.
What about gun violence with all the debate about the Second Amendment going on?
The problem is illegal guns. Illegal guns is the problem, not legal guns. We have the right to bear arms.
The passing of the Federal First Step Act, which allows certain rehabilitated federal prisoners to seek early release, presented an opportunity. Hoover's lawyers filed paperwork, hoping for his release. Larry Hoover himself wrote letters to the judge, claiming he has renounced the street gang he once led. He stated, "I am no longer the Larry Hoover people claim to talk about or written about in the papers or the crime figure described to the government."
Individuals who may have done a wrong in the past can sometimes, in some instances, change. And the criminal justice system is not about locking up people and throwing away the key. It's about finding improvement and opportunities for them to better themselves.
He took responsibility for his past and had long since renounced his association with any and all criminal organizations. His attorney stated Hoover has been rehabilitated, is a model prisoner, and is held because he is a symbol, not because he needs further incarceration.
Today on Meet the Press, Senator Lindsey Graham speaking on the Senate's recent prison reform bill endorsed last week by President Trump.
Yeah, Graham taking aim at the federal 3 strikes law, saying, quote, 3 strikes and you're out has not worked. Now is the time to get it right. Some in local law enforcement now calling Graham's statements naive. Our Megan Roop joining us live in studio with more on this debate. Megan?
That's right, Steph. Evan, according to the White House, this Senate bill, the First Step Act, would actually eliminate that 3-strike mandatory life provision, but that's on the federal level. Attorneys tell us state laws are still unaffected.
3 strikes, a 3rd serious or violent felony in California resulting in 25 years to life. It's a state law proposed by Fresno man Mike Reynolds, whose daughter was shot and killed in the Tower District by a repeat offender in 1992. In 94, former President Bill Clinton signed the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act into law, also containing a 3 strikes you're out federal provision.
We did 3 strikes and all these other things. So we increased the number of people that were getting prosecuted. We increased the number of people in our prisons. Now we're out of room.
Americans from across the political spectrum can unite around prison reform legislation that will reduce crime.
Last week, President Donald Trump supporting the First Step Act, which some say would be the most sweeping criminal justice reform in decades, giving judges more control over mandatory sentences, allowing some crack cocaine offenders to petition for a lighter sentence, and promoting programs for offenders to successfully re-enter society.
We have to realistically look and ask, what have we gotten for our dollar? I mean, have we slowed down the drug wars?
While state laws would not be changed by the federal bill, local law enforcement officials argue 3 strikes has been effective.
If we don't have those types of prison sentencing, it's just going to give these criminals the opportunity to just commit crime. It's just they're never going to have that enhanced sentence.
The U.S. House of Representatives passed its own version of the First Step Act by an overwhelming majority back in May. The House would also need to vote on this Senate version. Some say if passed, this would be the president's most bipartisan legislative victory to date.
But the path to release is a legal battle, and the opposition is strong. Prosecutors vehemently opposed his early release, arguing he still exerts leadership or remains a powerful symbol. A former prosecutor called him responsible for the city's highest murder rate. A U.S. district judge denied his request for a new sentencing hearing, stating Hoover is one of the most notorious criminals in Illinois history, and expressing concern about an active risk of harm if he were freed. Prosecutors argue Hoover has well learned his life sentence and wasn't the type of defendant Congress intended to benefit from the First Step Act. Larry Hoover's case presents a profound question. Can someone sentenced to such an extensive sentence, who spent decades allegedly directing a criminal empire, ever truly be seen as a changed man deserving of freedom? His past is undeniably significant, etched in court records and in the memories of a city scarred by violence. But his supporters argue that the man he is today, aged and completely changed for the positive, is not the same person. Larry Hoover himself has demonstrated he is a completely different person who has long since renounced his association with any criminal organizations and takes responsibility for his past. His case aligns with a growing, sometimes bipartisan, movement for criminal justice reform that challenges lengthy or life sentences, arguing that people can change and age out of crime and that keeping elderly prisoners is costly and often unnecessary.
Look, that thing, what it does is
This thing?
yeah.
It's a camera. It also takes film.
Oh, all right, okay.
It's a digital camera. And this is a microphone.
Oh, okay. You know, I've been locked up 40-some years, so I'll be knowing.
Go back to your time before coming here.
What is this?
That is
Peach? Sparkling water. They don't sell stuff like this here.
Yeah.
Never.
When I got locked up, my twins were 8 months old. And that was the last time I saw them. I wrote them letters like every week for the first 20 years I was here. And by this time, now they're all adults. So I figure it's time for me to stop trying.
How could you take a 19-year-old person and just take the worst decision he ever made and hold him responsible for it for the rest of his entire life and not even consider that? He may have changed.
He was a thug on the streets 24, 25 years ago, and we're angry at that person, not realizing that that person no longer exists. Actually hasn't existed for like over 20 years.
These men are serving life sentences at Angola Prison in Louisiana. They don't have the possibility of parole.
I'm serving a life sentence for second-degree murder.
First-degree murder.
Second-degree murder and armed robbery.
I'm serving a life sentence.
A life sentence without parole.
I was 18 when this crime happened. I was 17 years old.
I was 18 at the time.
Now, come here, I'm 17. I'm 80 years old now.
People who commit crimes should be held responsible. But how much punishment is enough for justice? As you listen to these men, ask yourself, do they deserve a chance at redemption?
I had time to reflect and what my life would be if I had to stay here. And then I started noticing the need here of the people that was illiterate. So I said, okay, well, I could do some good here. You know, so I started tutoring guys and I started feeling a self-worth. I said, you know, well, I could give something back like that. You know, all the while still dealing with the fact, you know, that I took a life, an innocent life.
If I happen to die here in prison, that's not something that I want. But I have to think about and take under consideration, I took another human's life. A young man, Damien, you know, I went to school with him. He still was somebody's son. If I could go back in time and redo that, that would have never happened. It shouldn't have happened.
In the U.S., there are more than 50,000 people serving life without parole, 70% of whom are Black.
If you come here young, well, prison provides. So you never have to be responsible if you don't want to. It's hard to mature in prison because prison isn't set up for you to bear the stress of responsibility and to grow from that. So, you know, you have to kind of seek it out your own.
With so many long sentences, America's prison population is aging. taxpayers spend about $70,000 to keep every elderly prisoner locked up every year. So Angola created a hospice program. Prisoners volunteer to take care of other prisoners, basically people convicted of murder caring for the dying.
This changing climate seeks opportunities for incarcerated individuals to better themselves and potentially use their experiences, character, and compassion to teach others and steer young people away from crime, ultimately providing paths for redemption and reintegration for transformed individuals, particularly through reforms like sentence review or elder parole, can lead to significant cost savings and allows them to become an asset to society, benefiting society as a whole.
Thousands of former prisoners who thought they would spend Christmas behind bars are free thanks to the help of the First Step Act. The act increases the number of good conduct time credits an inmate can earn per year. It also built on the Fair Sentencing Act of 2010 signed by former President Obama, which reduced penalties for crack cocaine offenses. The U.S. Sentencing Commission says those changes can help more than 140,000 people in prison. Before President Trump signed the First Step Act into law, did you expect to spend the rest of your life behind bars?
I did, but I didn't because I never gave up fighting.
48-year-old Brian Johnson says it feels good to be back in his old neighborhood in Baltimore. Nearly 20 years ago, Johnson was convicted of money laundering and drug distribution. He was sentenced to life in federal prison. But when President Trump signed off on the First Step Act last December, it meant Johnson and thousands of others were eligible for an earlier release or a reduced sentence. On July 9th, Johnson took his first step out of prison. Who did you first lay eyes on when you got out of prison?
The first person that I seen was my oldest daughter.
How old is she?
31.
You've missed most of her upbringing.
20 years of it. So when she pulled out, it was like an unbelievable feeling until I could hug her.
He says he makes about $500 per week working full-time for a delivery company. From prison life to this life, I think the assumption is, oh, you're free, you must be so excited, it must be so great.
It's great, but what comes with the greatness is reality. Now when you're back out here, because when you're incarcerated, basically everything is free. Food is free, sleeping is free. In the free world, as they say, you gotta pay for everything.
Has that been the biggest challenge for you?
Actually, no. Technology has been the biggest challenge for me. Right now, I have a phone, but I couldn't tell you how to work everything on the phone.
Even harder than that, finding out he has a son.
Since I've been home, I found out I have a son that's 26 years old, and he is incarcerated in the federal system.
For what?
12 years for carjacking.
Does that hurt?
Yes, it did. Because I feel like if I was here, that definitely wouldn't happen.
This is the way to do it, and this, that, and I've been doing it. I've been going.
I seen it. I went crazy when I watched it. When the first time I seen the video of you going in jail and you put it up on you, I was like, man, this is amazing. This is great.
Shout out my partner, Giant. You know what I'm saying? Bartenders. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He the one that got me in there. He was like, Pete, I needed you. You know, he brought me in there, and it's been a blessing. Like I'm getting this. I mean, I've been going there for like a month now. A month and probably the week, and brothers really been paying attention and listening. Like I've been in and I'm telling them like, yo, listen, I'm gonna come here, I'm gonna start coming here, I'm gonna do a month, you know what I'm saying? If you no fighting, no stabbings and all that, we're gonna talk pizza, we're gonna talk movie day and all that. You know what I'm saying?
Incentivized.
They done it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yo, they done it.
That's
the boy Yak, pistol, I'm here on Rikers Island, 4 building. Just came from Rikers Island, my brother Giant. John, don't go nowhere far. Came back, was in there since this morning. Made my tour with the 4 building, went around, speak to the brothers. I actually walked up in the house unit. We was at what house we was in?
4 building. We were the
No, I know we was in the 4. We was at what unit? 2 lower.
And 6.
6. Man, I done hit up a few houses, the adult houses, the adolescents. I vibe with them. I'm gonna start bringing, dog in the yard to the penitentiary, to the jails. I'm gonna start talking to the kids. I got, you already know I got the, I mean.
Appreciate you, my bro.
I mean.
Change is on the rise, man. That's all I'm gonna tell you.
You know what I mean? I got the boy Giant on there. You know what I'm saying? We made it happen. You know what I'm saying? So I'm proud of everything we done today, man. I ain't gonna lie. You know what I'm saying? Because every day is a blessing. Be able to do things for these brothers, especially here in the island. It was there. It's hot. Muggy, the same cells, the same old tear. I walked down the hallway, went to the mess hall. It was crazy. Steve. I went back to Rikers Island. I was really inside Rikers Island today. I went in there, talked to the guy, to the unit, to the kids. I seen all kind of lieutenants, correctional officers. They saluted. They played homage. They happy that I came by. I mean, Ford building right here, for those that been there. You know what I'm saying? And I'm here, man. Taking that dog in the yard to the yard for real. You know what I'm saying? And speaking to these brothers that's here facing life. A lot of the brothers, some of them getting breaks, kicking it to them, letting them know, their choices and all that. You know what I'm saying? As far as anything. So, we here. You know what I mean? Like, we broke it down today. Today was a big day. One for the history, one for the books. You know what I mean? Thank you, Brother Giant. You know what I'm saying? For pulling this off. We're going to be definitely coming through here every Mondays, Wednesdays, Rikers Island. You know what I mean? I'm going to dedicate myself to come through here, speak to the kids. I'm going to C95. Today, like I said, I did the Ford building. I'll be back next week. I'm doing the Ford building again, and then the following week, I'm going to C95. So, if you got anybody in the Ford building, C95, any of these jail niggas, you already know. Holler at me. Your boy Pistol Head. I go in there, give them a hug for you, vibe with them. Already know. So, I'm here, man. Big moves. I'm thankful to God. All praises to my Lord and Savior Jesus. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to keep this going. Positive vibe every day, guys. Dog in the yard every Monday. Don't miss it. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate all the fellas, everybody that's tuned in, everybody that support me, see me in the street, salute, hug me, love me, kiss pictures, this, that. I love you guys too. You know what I'm saying? And this is what we doing. You know what I'm saying? From this point on, Rikers Island, you already know. Like they said, King of Rikers Island, I'm back. I went back with the good vibe. You know what I'm saying? The brothers in there, they love seeing me. I gave them that inspiration talk, that vibe they needed. All organic. You know what I'm saying? No fake shit. Everything we bring is organic. You know what I'm saying? And you already know. With that being said, man, y'all stay peaceful. Stay blessed. Your boy Pistol Pete, dog in the yard. You already know. TS, KAR boys. And you already know. Steve LaBelle, I love you. You already know we working, man. Holla at me, man. They can't stop this, man. Prison reform. Salute. You know what I'm saying? Prison reform around here, man. Salute. You know what I'm saying? So salute to everybody out there. You already know. Get at me. It's your boy Pistol.
That man had what they call a gang structured as a 501c3 when 501c3s was first created. Yeah. They said it was a gang. They hurting us.
Yeah, the biggest.
They hurting us.
Yeah, they hurt us.
They hurting us.
Larry Hoover, he himself.
Let me just say this, homie. Today's GDs and BDs, they need to hear his voice. They need to do with Larry Hoover what they done with Tookie Williams during the Rodney King riots. It'll bring a lot of peace to Chicago.
That's facts.
If they gave this man an opportunity to speak to our children, our black youth, I think in 1 month, his words could stop drill music. If they gave us 1 month of Larry Hoover, his take, his perception, his opinions, his feelings on our culture in the state of Chicago, I think he can heal a lot of pain.
I could agree with that.
Yeah.
I could agree with that. We look to idols, and he is definitely a living idol to where, like you said, 1 month of just speaking, I believe it could change.
At this point, he's just an old man that's been locked away for too long. He buried alive, homie.
Click like, share this video, and I'll see you in the comments.